Hi, sweet girl. You don't like all this attention, huh? Hey everyone, my name is Bridget. Welcome to my channel. For today's video, we are finally going to be talking about my African fat-tailed geckos. Now, I have not officially introduced either of these geckos to you, so today I thought it would be fun to do a dedicated video to the both of them because they both come from the same breeder and they both have special characteristics about them that kind of make them more unique geckos that you wouldn't normally see, and one of them is even special needs. So the breeder these geckos come from is Huff's Herps. You guys have heard me talk about him in several videos at this point. I actually have a dedicated video to his facility. I did an entire tour looking at all the different types of geckos that he produces. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it right up here. He's a gecko breeder here in Texas. He specializes in African fat-tailed geckos and leopard geckos, but he mainly focuses on the African fat-tailed side of things, which I love because those are my favorite. And we've just become really good friends with him, and so I knew that as soon as we wanted to get an African fat-tailed gecko, he was the only breeder that I was going to contact to get one. So if you happen to follow my Vlogmas journey in December of 2019, we went to an expo to pick up our new African fat-tailed gecko, the first one, and you got a tiny little glimpse of her, but I haven't introduced her on this channel, so that's what we're going to do today. And really the only thing that's going on with her is that she has a crooked tail, and I'll show that to you and explain it a little bit more once I introduce you to her. But the second African fat-tailed gecko that I got did come from this breeder. She wasn't bred by him, but she was a gecko that he had in his array of geckos, and he basically wanted to just find a good home for her. He contacted me asking if I would be interested, and of course I said yes. So I'm going to show her to you guys as well and talk about her story a little bit more. I'm in love with these two geckos. I hope that you guys are going to love them as well. They are both beautiful and precious, and they just have my whole heart. So we're going to go ahead and get started talking about them. All right, so here is the first little gal. This is a normal striped African fat-tailed gecko. As you can see, she's got the normal coloration, but she has that bold stripe along her back. So beautiful. This little girl is just a little juvenile. She's about 7 months old at this point, and her name is Cork. Now that is pronounced like cork, you know, cork bark, cork wood, stuff like that, but we do spell it a little bit differently. It's Q-U-E-O-R-K. She is a feisty one. She is not the biggest fan of handling yet. She sometimes gets a little nippy with me, and I mean, that's understandable. She's a little tiny thing, so I'd be scared too. But she's doing pretty well right now, so I'm proud of that. So if you can see that little kink that happens here on the side, you know, her whole body will be straight, but then that tail just kind of goes just to the side, just a little bit. It's really not a huge deal. It happened in the egg somehow. She just ended up with a little crooked tail, and it does nothing to hinder her, so I'm not worried about it at all. But when we ended up going to an expo and we saw Huff's Herps there, we stopped by to talk to them, and I asked kind of around when they would get new babies and things, and kind of when the most popular time to get African fat-tails would be, because I knew that I wanted to get a baby. And he told me that he actually had a few available, and he showed me this girl because he knew me, he knows my platform and everything, and he knew that this gecko he was only going to sell as a pet only, did not want her to be bred at all, just in case. I mean, this tail thing is just kind of more of an aesthetic thing, but anytime that happens, you don't want to potentially pass down those genes, so he wanted her to be pet only. He put her at a very discounted price, and I saw her cute little face and I was like, okay, that's it, she's mine. And so now we have her. She's been the cutest little thing. Like I said, she is feisty. She's got an attitude for sure, which I love. And she's been a bit of a picky eater as well. She seems to favor crickets more than anything, which I don't love crickets. I hate buying crickets. I hate taking care of them, but if she wants to eat them, I'm not gonna say no. She's definitely had some other things. She's had like dubias and mealworms and some hornworms and stuff like that, so I'm not worried. She prefers crickets and she loves to hunt them, but she's not stuck on crickets anymore like she was in the beginning, which is great. But yeah, there is our normal striped African fat-tailed gecko, our little Cork. right, and then we have our second African fat-tailed here. This is an adult female white-out Oreo African fat-tailed gecko. She's got her beautiful coloration of that deep chocolatey brown and all of her beautiful white, almost pinkish looking color. To me, it looks kind of pink. I think she's so beautiful. This is definitely one of my favorite morphs of African fat-tails out there. But what I have recently discovered is that it can be a problematic morph. So the situation with this girl, by the way, her name is Mary, M-E-R-R-Y, which is short for Meriadoc. She's named after Mary from Lord of the Rings. When Seth from Huff's Herps contacted me, he did tell me that she appeared to have a neurological issue where she leans to the side a bit and she kind of wobbles and she misses her food a lot. So when he reached out to me, he said he wanted to find her a new home, but he didn't want to ask just anyone. He said he refused to let her go to just any home. He didn't want to sell her for profit whatsoever. She was completely free. And he knew that if she came into my care, she would be very well taken care of, which I found as a very high compliment. So of course I could not say no. Same situation. There was no way that I was going to say no to her. And now here she is. So Seth got her from another breeder. I'm not gonna give the information on that other breeder because I don't think that this breeder necessarily produces problematic geckos, at least not on purpose. This kind of situation is not very well known right now. I've recently heard about it, especially after having her and kind of seeing what she goes through. There are other white-out Oreo African fat-tailed geckos that are displaying the same types of issues that she has. So I just don't think that many people know a lot about it, and I don't even know a lot about it. I've tried to do research and I can't really find actual information to base this off of. But when Seth got her, she had absolutely no issues at all. She was a perfectly normal, healthy gecko. He got her to start a new breeding project, which is what gecko breeders do. They get new lines and they get new morphs and things to add into their own collection of genetics, and he bred her. And then after that was when she started to display her issues. And to me, I'm not sure. This is not scientific information whatsoever. It's just a guess. I'm guessing that breeding could have triggered something like this because I know that sometimes it can. There are certain morphs in leopard geckos that can be triggered this type of way if they are bred. So I mean, I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that an African fat-tailed morph could be triggered in that way as well. My next guess is that perhaps this is something that comes about later in age, because when he got her, she was around a year and now she's 2.5, and she just started displaying these kind of issues around the age of 2. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, where either breeding or age kind of triggers this, but regardless, I think it's something to look into. I'm definitely going to be doing more research on it and trying to figure this out because it's interesting and it's sad and unfortunate. A morph of African fat-tailed could potentially come to light as a problematic morph. She leans every now and then. She doesn't lean all the time. Like right now, she's not leaning at all, but she does wobble and she does kind of circle around her enclosure sometimes. I don't know what that's called. I can't remember what it's called. I just talked about it on Twitter this morning, but she does kind of pace around a little bit in circles, which is not bad. And she misses her food a lot when she strikes. So I kind of have to work with her a little bit and watch where she's striking and kind of put the food right there in front of her, and then she can grab it. It's a labor of love. I'm willing to do that for her. She is literally the sweetest gecko I've ever met in my entire life. I just adore her so much. I adore you so much. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna be done talking about her now. This is our sweet Mary, our special needs African fat-tailed gecko, who is still living a great life and doing great things. everyone, that wraps up today's video. Just introducing you guys to my new African fat-tailed geckos. As you saw, they are stunning and sweet and just the cutest little things ever, but they do have a couple of interesting characteristics about them, so I had to do a dedicated video to them. I'll definitely try and show them more in upcoming videos and on social media, so definitely be on the lookout for those. And I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy this video, please give us a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button on your way out. I really appreciate it. Also hit the notification bell so you can know when I upload next, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!